Most cold outreach dies before the first email is even, drafted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You sit down to build a list of, say, 50 high-intent leads, and within an hour, you're just drowning. You've got a dozen open browser tabs. You're cross-referencing these half-verified emails against a painfully generic sales script.
Right.
It just feels like a fundamental misallocation of human energy.
Yeah, the modern outbound trap is entirely logistical at this point. I mean, you end up trading your highest leverage skill, which is actually connecting with human beings, right?
Yeah.
Solving their actual problems.
Exactly.
You trade that for low-level data entry. You basically become a human API, just copy-pasting between different software tools.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are exploring a fascinating architectural shift today. We're looking at a system that combines Claude Code with a data platform called Clay.
Yeah, it's a really cool setup.
The mission here is to turn a single natural language prompt into a campaign-ready, highly personalized lead list. It's fundamentally about curing that fragmented outbound mess we just talked about.
We're definitely moving past the era of the manual spreadsheet.
Yeah.
What we're really talking about here is building an autonomous system that kind of mimics the workflow of a top-tier sales development rep. It gathers the intelligence, verifies the contact, writes the tailored message, and formats it for delivery. Completely unattended.
But before any artificial intelligence can write something brilliant, it needs raw material. You have to start with the data layer.
Right. Because traditional outbound data is heavily siloed.
Yeah.
The friction comes from the sheer number of, specialized tools you need just to build one good lead.
It's exhausting.
It really is. Like you might use one specific platform just for scraping company names based on industry.
Yeah.
Then you have to export that, push it into a separate tool for finding executive email addresses. Then you run those addresses through a third tool just to verify they won't bounce.
Right.
And if you want context like recent funding rounds or news mentions, you're suddenly querying a fourth platform.
And the manual export-import cycle alone introduces so much room for error. You lose formatting, you misalign columns, and suddenly you are emailing the wrong person entirely.
Which is precisely why Clay acts as the foundational data layer in this workflow. It centralizes all of those disparate API calls into a single environment. And the core mechanism that makes this centralization so powerful is a process called waterfall enrichment.
Okay, I want to make sure we are crystal clear on the terminology here. We hear that term thrown around a lot in RevOps circles. For someone mapping this out for the first time, how do we define waterfall enrichment?
Checking multiple data sources in sequence until an answer is found.
That makes intuitive sense. It is like needing to borrow a highly specific power tool.
Exactly.
I go to my neighbor on the left. If they don't have it, I don't just shrug and abandon my project. I go to my neighbor on the right. I keep knocking on different doors down the street until someone finally hands me the tool I need.
That analogy maps perfectly to the technical execution, actually, because a standard email verification tool only queries one proprietary database.
Right.
So if that vendor happens to be outdated, maybe an executive changed jobs last month, you just get a blank cell in your spreadsheet. You lose the lead.
Wow, yeah.
But Clay automatically cascades down the waterfall. If provider A returns nothing, the system instantly queries provider B. If B fails, it moves to C and maybe finishes with a live web scrape.
The compounding effect of that has to be significant. What does that cascading approach actually do to the success rate of a campaign?
It completely flips the math.
Good.
If you're relying on a single standard vendor, you might only uncover valid, verified emails for about 30% of a target list.
Okay.
By routing the query through a customized Clay waterfall, you can routinely push that hit rate up to 80 or 90%. You're just maximizing the surface area of your search.
That jump in data recovery is massive, but it raises a fundamental architecture question for me. If large language models are so capable of browsing the web right now, why can't Claude Code just find all this data on its own? Why do we need the Clay layer at all?
Well, Claude Code is a phenomenal reasoning engine, but language models do not natively house real-time verified contact databases. If you ask an LLM to find the current cell phone number for a specific regional director, it's going to hallucinate or pull outdated cached data. It requires a dedicated deterministic engine to fetch the hard factual variables before it can apply its reasoning.
So Clay provides the verified facts while Claude acts as the brain.
Exactly. The separation of concerns is critical here. Clay provides the raw, enriched reality, and Claude orchestrates how we use it.
Let's move from the conceptual to the practical. We have the data engine in Clay, and we have the reasoning brain in Claude Code. But how do we actually wire them together?
Right, the integration piece.
Yeah, we need to set the trap and hand the keys over without writing a custom Python integration.
The initial handshake is surprisingly lightweight, but it happens in a slightly different environment than most people are used to. You aren't using the standard Claude web interface.
Okay, what are we then?
You're installing a specific plugin via the Claude Code command line terminal on your local machine. So you open the terminal, type plugin, navigate to the marketplace, and paste your unique Clay connection link.
I notice in the source documentation there's a very specific technical hurdle right at that step. When Claude generates the authentication link to connect the accounts, the terminal line wrapping can actually break the URL.
Oh yeah, the classic command line formatting issue. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
If your terminal window is too narrow, it splits the URL string across 2 lines. So if you try to command click it directly, the browser only reads half the address and the authorization fails entirely.
Right.
You simply have to manually highlight the full block of text, copy it, and paste it into your browser to authorize the bridge. Once that handshake is complete, you verify that the Clay MCP server is active in your terminal.
We're running into another layer of terminology there. We see MCP mentioned frequently in AI developer updates right now. What exactly is an MCP server?
A bridge letting AI securely use external tools and data.
To dig into the why of that, without an MCP standard, Claude would have to learn the bespoke API logic of every single software tool on Earth.
Exactly. It would be impossible.
So the Model Context Protocol basically acts as a universal plug socket, right? It standardizes how the AI asks for data, so it can effortlessly pull a lever in Clay without needing to understand Clay's underlying code.
Yeah, it creates a standardized language for tool use.
Yeah.
You check the connections, ensuring that specific capabilities like the ability to command an email search or summarize a company's recent news are toggled on and active.
I have to push back a bit on the accessibility of this workflow, though.
Fair enough.
For the average business owner or growth marketer, the command line interface is incredibly intimidating. Do we have to live inside a terminal window forever to run these campaigns, or is this just for the initial setup?
No, it's a totally valid concern, and thankfully the answer is no. The terminal process is strictly for the initial installation and authentication.
That's a relief.
Yeah, once the marketplace plugin is authorized and that MCP bridge is built, you can interact with Claude Code through much friendlier environments, like inside VS Code or a dedicated desktop application. You're not forced to stare at green text on a black background to run your daily outreach.
That significantly lowers the barrier to entry. But as we are setting this up and testing our natural language commands, we are triggering real actions in a paid tool. What happens if we ignore our credit balance in Clay while we are just testing the integration?
Oh, you can drain your account incredibly fast.
Right.
Because Claude is so efficient. If you ask it to casually research 100 companies while you're just tweaking a prompt, it will instantly fire off those queries to Clay. Every single enrichment action template, finding an email, verifying a domain, pulling a news summary, costs a microtransaction of credits. So running an unconstrained test prompt without checking your limits can result in burning through a month's worth of data allowance in 3 minutes.
Always check your credit balance first to avoid unexpected AI bills.
Yes. Keeping an eye on the dashboard prevents a lot of friction down the line.
We have the architecture built. The brain is connected to the data engine via the MCP bridge. But right now we are looking at an empty brain.
Right.
It has the capacity to think and the tools to research, but it has absolutely no idea who you are or what value your company actually provides.
Which brings us to the most critical failure point in AI lead generation. People spend all their energy wiring the APIs together, and the moment the green light flashes, they immediately ask the AI to start writing sales emails.
They skip the foundation and go straight to execution.
Exactly. And then they're baffled when the output sounds like a generic robot writing a high school essay about corporate synergy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ground the model in your specific business reality first. This requires building a dedicated project folder on your machine that Claude can actually read.
What goes into that folder to actually make the model sound human?
You are essentially giving it a highly detailed employee onboarding manual. You drop in text files containing your company's core profile. You include your specific offer, the mechanics of how you deliver it, and undeniable proof that you've done it successfully.
Okay.
You add your frequently asked questions, your best case studies, and crucially, A rigorous copywriting style guide.
The source material uses a very practical example here. Tradewind Automations. They are an early-stage AI agency that builds workflows specifically for home service businesses.
Right, so for Tradewind, you would load that local folder with the exact case study of how they helped a local plumbing company save 20 hours a week on dispatching. You detail the exact pricing structure. You feed Claude examples of historical cold emails that have actually converted for them in the past, so it can map the syntax and rhythm of a winning message.
I will admit something here. I still wrestle with my own AI prompts, drifting into robotic, generic, corporate speak.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah. Even when I try to inject personality, the model often hands me back this sterile, jargon-filled wall of text that immediately triggers my spam radar.
The mechanism there is heavily tied to how these models are trained. Through reinforcement learning from human feedback, LLMs are heavily biased towards sounding safe, helpful, and ultra-professional.
Right.
But in the world of cold outreach, ultra-professional usually translates to instantly ignorable. That's why the copywriting style guide in your context folder is non-negotiable. You have to actively command the AI to fight its own nature.
So you instruct it directly.
Yeah. Use short, choppy sentences. Never use words like innovative or streamline. Force it to open with a highly specific, localized observation rather than a pleasantry.
Clean data might get you past the spam filter and into the inbox, but the context folder is what gives the email a legitimate reason to exist.
It transforms the message from a broad solicitation into a highly relevant peer-to-peer observation.
I'm trying to visualize the delta here. If I just say, sell my AI HVAC software, I know I get drivel. Can you give me a concrete example of how the output changes when this deep context is actually applied?
Sure. So without the context folder, the AI leans on broad assumptions. It might write, are you struggling with inefficiency in your HVAC business? We offer synergistic AI solutions to boost revenue. Click here to buy.
Awful.
It's guessing at the pain point and demanding an unreasonable action. But when grounded in the Tradewind context folder, it synthesizes the case study. It writes, noticed your San Antonio dispatch team in Austin cut their manual dispatch time by 40% using an automated routing tool. Open to a 90-second Loom video showing how the architecture works.
Emails shift from generic pain points to highly specific, proven claims.
Exactly. The model stops guessing and starts leveraging your actual operational history.
The brain is fully loaded. The data engine is primed. It is time to pull the trigger. How do we actually initialize the campaign from the command line?
You trigger the system using the goal prompt. Now, this is not a casual request. This is where you hand Claude an incredibly strict set of operational parameters. You define the exact boundaries of the finish line so the AI knows exactly what success looks like.
What are the specific parameters embedded in that prompt?
You explicitly instruct Claude, go into Clay and extract 50 enriched leads, specifically in the HVAC sector. Verify every single email and phone number. Analyze the recent news or company website to find a unique localized signal or a specific operational pain point for each lead.
That's a lot of steps.
Yeah, and then write a personalized email copy utilizing our style guide. And the most crucial constraint, you explicitly tell it not to stop iterating until there are absolutely no blank columns in the final CSV file.
You are giving it an absolute standard for completion. And the call to action in the copy is highly calibrated as well, right?
In the Tradewind scenario, the prompt instructs Claude to use a very specific low-friction CTA. It asks the prospect to simply reply yes to receive a customized 90-second Loom video. It's not asking for a 30-minute discovery call right out of the gate. It's offering immediate asynchronous value.
To execute all of those steps simultaneously, Claude relies on subagents. Let us define subagents in this context.
Smaller AI tasks running parallel to speed up complex workflows.
Whoa, I mean, imagine sending digital subagents into a dozen cities simultaneously to do your research. The sheer scale of that is hard to wrap your head around at first.
To ground that in the technical reality, it's essentially spinning up dozens of parallel API queries at once. Instead of Claude reading one local business website, waiting for it to load, parsing the data, and then moving to the next, it spawns mini versions of its operational logic to crawl 50 different sites at the exact same moment.
Incredible.
Yeah, it pulls all that review data and contact info back into the main terminal in a fraction of the time a linear process would take.
Let us break down the actual economics and time cost of running this specific goal prompt. The sources note that generating this list of 50 flawless leads takes the system about an hour to process and costs roughly 172 Clay credits. In real dollars, that translates to about $12. or $24 per 100 leads.
It fundamentally changes the cost structure of lead generation. You are paying pennies per deeply researched interaction.
The ROI calculus is incredibly straightforward. If one single client from a batch of 100 leads converts into a recurring contract, the $24 investment pays for itself infinitely. But I want to examine the time element.
Okay.
Why does it take a full hour for an advanced AI to pull 50 leads when a basic screaming tool can export 5,000 rows in 5 minutes?
Because you're trading computing time for rigorous quality control. The hour is not spent just scraping text. The AI is performing deep deduplication. It's pinging servers to verify email bounces. It's reading the context of a local news article to ensure the personalization hook actually makes logical sense.
Right.
It's iterating on the copy, checking it against your style guide, and rewriting it if it sounds too corporate.
The extra time goes into deep verification and custom writing, not just scraping.
Exactly. You are paying in processing time to ensure you don't burn your domain reputation by sending garbage data.
The hour passes, the command line stops humming. What is the tangible asset this $12 automated run actually produces?
The output is a perfectly formatted, campaign-ready CSV file on your local machine.
Let's crack open that file.
Okay.
It is 51 rows, one header row, and 50 highly vetted leads. But the column structure is much more sophisticated than just first name and email address.
Oh, absolutely. It's segmented logically for deployment. The first section is core business intelligence, the legal company name, their primary domain, and specific metrics like their current Google review rating. The second section houses the verified contact layer, the specific decision-maker's name, their validated email, and direct phone lines.
The third section is where the real value lies, the personalization data. It contains the specific business pain point Claude identified, the URL source of that observation, and the fully customized copy for both the subject line and the email body itself.
And perhaps the most critical column for long-term safety is the review flag.
I actually wanted to push back on the idea of pure automation here. Even with a perfect context folder, the idea of letting an autonomous system speak on behalf of my business without supervision is terrifying. Shouldn't a human being manually review these outputs before they hit an inbox?
100%. Total automation without oversight is reckless. The review flag column is designed specifically to make human intervention highly efficient.
How so?
Well, the prompt asks Claude to flag any row where it feels the personalization hook is weak or the data feels contradictory. You just open the spreadsheet, filter by the flagged rows, spend 5 minutes tweaking the anomalies, and approve the rest. You're editing, not writing from scratch.
The sources highlight a fantastic example of the output quality when the system hits a strong signal. Claude analyzed a highly rated 4.7-star HVAC shop, but dug deep enough to find recent negative customer review complaining specifically about a missed callback.
That is the gold mine right there. The AI takes that specific signal and weaves it seamlessly into the copy. It opens by acknowledging the reality. Hey, I saw the recent review about a customer waiting on a callback. I know that's a rare miss for a shop holding a 4.7-star rating. It's empathetic. It strokes their ego while gently highlighting a vulnerability.
And it pivots instantly into the contextual offer. I help home service businesses recover missed revenue from dropped calls. I'd be happy to set our system up free for 30 days to plug the like. It does not feel like a cold pitch. It feels like a highly observant peer offering a low-risk solution to a problem they're actively experiencing.
When you combine perfect data with contextual empathy, it stops being spam.
We have this pristine CSV. To actually deploy the campaign, we have to get these 50 rows into an email sender. How do we execute the launch without breaking deliverability?
You take the finalized CSV and import it directly back into a new table within Clay. Because Claude has already done the heavy lifting of writing the copy, you use Clay's variables command to simply map the pre-written subject lines and email bodies straight into the sending tool.
We are explicitly not asking Clay to generate new AI copy at this stage. We are just passing through the finished strings Claude already perfected.
Exactly. You're just using the sending infrastructure to route the text into the world. To protect your primary company domain, the standard practice is to set up alternate sender accounts.
Like variations of the name.
Yeah, so if you're Tradewin Automations, you buy variations like breaktradewin.com or alltradewin.com. You route the emails through those domains, and you strictly cap the sending volume to around 30 emails per day per domain.
Cold outreach rarely converts on the first touch. How does this system handle follow-up sequences without losing that initial personalization?
You have architectural flexibility there. You can either instruct Claude to draft a sequential 3-email drip during that initial 1-hour run, or you can build automated follow-up steps directly in Clay. The absolute rule, however, is that the follow-ups must inherit the specific business logic of the first email.
Keep follow-ups simple, maintaining context, and use the same logic.
Right. If the first email was about a missed callback, email 2 should gently bump that specific thread, not pivot to a generic list of software features.
Let us slow down the pace and synthesize what we have covered. We've explored terminals, plugins, waterfall enrichment, and local context folders. But if we pull back the lens, this entire architecture relies on a very clear, bifurcated philosophy.
Yeah, the complexity of AI lead generation vanishes when you stop forcing one tool to be good at everything. The ecosystem demands a separation of labor.
Clay serves strictly as the raw data layer. It aggregates the disparate databases, runs the waterfall verification, and ensures the target actually exists. It provides the factual foundation.
While Claude Code operates entirely in the reasoning layer, it digests your business context, plans the parallel subagent runs, verifies the logic, and synthesizes the final message. It's the operating intelligence directing the data muscle.
It is a profoundly elegant workflow. It takes a process that historically demanded a dozen browser tabs, endless copy-pasting, and immense frustration, and condenses it into a repeatable command line prompt.
And the true leverage is reusability. Once you refine that context folder and perfect your goal prompt, the hard work is permanently done. Whenever a pipeline gets light, you simply trigger the script, walk away for an hour, and return to a fully vetted campaign.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We are analyzing a system today that gives anyone with $12 the ability to generate 50 pieces of perfectly researched, flawlessly written, highly personalized outbound communication. That capability is rapidly becoming the new baseline.
Oh, the technological advantage will completely democratize over the next few years. It has to.
So, in a future where everyone has access to perfect data and perfectly written AI emails, the only differentiator left will be the actual quality, honesty, and uniqueness of your real-world offer. Are you spending too much time tweaking AI prompts and not enough time making your actual business offer irresistible?
That is the ultimate bottleneck. The system can deliver your message flawlessly, but the underlying service has to actually solve a real problem.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take a hard look at your own daily workflows today. Ask yourself what unique business context you might be withholding from your AI tools out of habit. Feed them your best ideas, restrict their tendency to sound generic, and let the machine handle the data entry. We will see you next time.